Well, remember to go butchering, wouldn't you? You go know Awabakal Ngurrawa. Hello friend, good to see you. Today I'm on Awabakal country. I'm heading up today to snap a point in Munmora State Conservation Area, and I'm going to talk to you today about all the work that I did on the car. You see, it's been about 6 months, maybe a little bit more, since the Paj got the makeover. Got the new radio and the back end fit out, the Predator coating, dash plates, all that stuff. So I want to have a bit of a chat with you about all that and just give you a run through on how it's all held up since. Has it been good? Has it been shit? So I'm going to tell you the good, the bad and the ugly with it. Alright, I'll see you when I get to my spot, guys. Alrighty guys, so here we are. Not quite a snapper point, it's a couple hundred metres down that way, but snapper point road. And you can see flat rock behind us with Ghosties Beach and everything down there. Seen a video a while back when we go down to Ghosties Beach and check out the caves there. Okay, so how's this old girl held up since doing the makeover last year? What's worked with it and what hasn't? I'm going to go for a bit of a walk around and I'm going to just talk to you guys about basically everything that I've done with it. I've done a couple of little things since as well, and there's a few things that need to be done, but they're mechanical. I'll explain those later. But I'll move the camera, give you a look at the back end here, and we'll discuss that first off, eh? Well, one of the main things I did to the car when I did the makeover was this back end again. Obviously I didn't touch the shelf. I'm never changing that. I love that shelf and I'm very grateful for my aunt painting it. Works great, it's adjustable, absolute works a treat. I did have to replace one of these little parts on the guy rope though. Simply it's plastic, wore out over time and it broke on me. So I've had to replace that, whoopee. I've remade all my curtains right through the car. Made them a little bit bigger, so especially this back one here closes up a little bit nicer. So I've done that since doing the makeover. The draw system. I showed you in the final reveal that it was a little bit tight to lift up and it seems that the struts don't work all that well. And look, I haven't adjusted them, haven't done anything to the back. And as you can see in the corner here, I haven't even completed that cupboard. I've just had a lot of crap going on, moving house, and now the owners put it up for bloody sale again, and just a lot of crap going on. So that hasn't been done. To be honest, it hasn't worried me too much. I broke my bloody TV anyway, so it hasn't been too much of an issue. The struts and how the draw system lifts up. Look, overall, even though it's not exactly how I planned, and I do still think moving these struts will make it easier, but overall, it's still not too hard. And even though the struts won't hold it, that pole will. So I can get to my jack, my recovery gear. I'll throw it on one of those little fold-up camp chairs, just for when I rock up to places like this or Waibung Heads or something. I want a cup of tea and just want to actually sit not on the back of the car. The 140 amp AGM, a few months back we had a hell of a lot of rain and overcast weather here on the New South Wales Central Coast, and my fridge runs constantly. I know some people tend to turn them off, unplug them, whatever. Mine runs constantly. And having that bad weather, the solar wasn't putting in enough power. I wasn't driving the car. It took, from memory, about 5 days before that battery got down to 11 volts and the battery management system kicked in and cut everything off. I came out in the morning and I turned my center console on, which gives me the volts of the battery, and it wouldn't turn on. I ended up putting a multimeter directly onto the battery and it was reading 0.06 volts. Oh shit, I've killed my battery. Lithium's never meant to get that low. I've absolutely killed it. Turns out it was the battery management system. All I had to do was bring the wife's car up behind mine, grab a set of jumper leads, sit it on there, wait for the C-Tech to show that the battery existed again, because running my car, the C-Tech wasn't recognising the battery because of the battery management system. So wait for the C-Tech to recognise it again, disconnect the jumper leads, start my car, and then my car started pumping the power back into it. As soon as the sun came out, solar filled it all back up with no dramas and, running around a few days and that. Filled it all back up. As you can see, we don't have the best weather now. We've had a hell of a lot of rain since Easter, and I haven't had this issue again. I have been driving a little bit more, but haven't had the issue again. So, but that is literally the battery management system kicked in because it got too low. So rather than damaging the battery and letting it get to a point that's going to cause problems, the BMS kicked in, did its job, turned it off. Otherwise, 5 days running this fridge, basically with no power input to charge it up. That's pretty frigging good if you ask me. Plus the LED lights on the switches down in the bottom corner here and that are running all the time and stuff like that. Speaking of the switches and everything on this side, how's all that held up? Well, let me close this. The C-Tech does what it's got to do. The fuses haven't blown one, which is good. I do have the 500 watt inverter down the bottom here. I've actually used it a couple of times, only for minor things. Pretty much only charging a cordless drill and things like that, but I have used it a couple of times, and I've got the 240 volt on this side as well as that side. That one's just hidden so that it doesn't get in the way if I'm charging a laptop or something in there. But I've used it a couple of times, which has been great. Actually, quite glad I put it in there, even though it's not something that will get used a lot. So the first switch there's fine. I had to replace this second switch. I don't know why. They're Narva ones. They're supposed to be the best quality over the eBay ones, but I had to replace that because that was powering these lights up the top here, which they've discoloured heaps and actually look pretty crappy, but the light that they throw is quite good. So they're powering that. And when I took the camper trailer out for a test, I had Kieran come up and we were talking for a bit, and I actually had these lights running for a while. And when I flicked that switch to turn them off, they wouldn't go off. So I actually had to pull the whole switch out, which is easy, but I had to pull the whole switch. I've run a test to find out how much amperage they're drawing, and they're only drawing like 2 amps. So these Narva switches being rated at 20 should be more than enough to run them for a half hour or something. Battery draw on them, as I said, they're drawing bugger all. They're only a couple of amps for 4 of them. Drawing absolutely bugger all power. This next one I haven't used. It's still completely disconnected basically from everything. The fourth one is this little light up here. Absolutely love it. I don't know what it will show now, but absolutely love this little light. It throws a huge amount of light when I'm at camp cooking of a night. It is brilliant. I did say that I got them for like $2.95 or something for 10. It wasn't. I stand corrected. It was like $7.65 or something like that for 10 of them. Ben from the Adventuring Scots, he's actually got a couple of the same ones in his NLs for the same deal, cooking at the back of the car and everything. They are brilliant. They look like crap, but so far they've held up really well. Been very impressed with them. The USBs, well, I've got my batteries at the moment on charge. They do their job. They're a USB. Are they quick charge? I really don't know. They're USB, but they are claimed to be 3.0 and quick charge with USB-C and everything. I don't know that they're really that, to be honest. They're eBay jobs. I don't see them charging much faster than what the standard 2.0s and that do. So yeah, guys, that's the back end drawer system. I love having the drawer. As you can see, I've got heaps. I mentioned in that video with the camper that I'll purchase some of these little rough country canvas bags because the ones I had that were this sort of style from Kmart just fell apart too easy, ripped and turned to shit. So I bought a couple of the rough country canvas ones from Autobarn. Brilliant, love them. They've done me really well. One thing I find with this, it doesn't lock out properly. Now, they're supposed to be full locking and they lock in, not a drama. But they don't lock out properly, as you can see. There we go, now it's fully extended. But no, I'm still able to push it in, which is weird. Now, which side's that now? There we go. So I don't know why they don't lock out properly. Then when I do push them in, I need to be careful because as you just saw, that one was catching then, but it's not now. So sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So you should have heard that click then, hopefully. And that should be completely locked out, but it's not. It's locking halfway out. Lift that one, lets me in. Lift this one now, lets me in. But I find if I forget that it sort of wants to lock halfway sometimes, but not all the times, I'll push it in and I will actually bend them. And I have had that issue where I've bent it and then couldn't get the thing back in. That was actually in my shakedown review video. And I had to take the whole bloody drawer out and bend part of the locking mechanism so it would actually close again. This side here under the wing, I've modified that a little bit, put a hole in there just so it's easy to open it. That's where all my toolkit is and all that sort of stuff. That's good. One thing I have noticed since doing this, because I've cut the plastics, that I hear a lot more noise from my suspension and stuff like that. Now that may also be part of what I mentioned before, that I need to get some repairs done. All my bushes are shot. Today is Friday. This is going in on Tuesday to get the rear diff bushes, and I'm waiting to hear from a new supporter, Central Coast 4x4 wreckers, in regard to new control arms and trailing arms and things like that. Well, not new, but low kcar. I've ordered them, so I'm just waiting to hear that they're in. They're helping me out with, basically a full new set of control arms, trailing arms, knuckles, the whole lot. So I'll have much better condition bushes and everything right through the back end. Hopefully that will also stop the squeaking and noises that I am hearing since removing all the plastics. Alright, let's move around the side a little bit and we'll talk about some of the other things. Alrighty, round to the front. I did a fair bit to the remainder of the car as well. The biggest thing I did overall to the car was the paint. No longer do I have a scratched up crappy looking bull bar. No longer do I have average glossy paint on the Paj. It's coated in Predator coating, and you know, I was a bit skeptical on how it would look. I thought that I'd lose all the shape and the angles and, you know, all the lines in the car. But in poorer conditions like this, maybe it's not as noticeable, but in good sunny conditions, it's beautiful. I really love the texture on it. I love how it still shows all the lines. I think in some cases maybe it's even enhanced the lines. And I love its durability. So I've driven through crap, scrub and things like that, doing recoveries for people, and I've had to put it in some pretty shitty spots. Even at home, back in my trailer, and we've got long grass and everything across the road, and it's full of friggin' fallen branches and shit like that, and I'll show you some damage that I believe's from that shortly. But I've had to push it through some decent scrub, and from that, there's not a single scratch on the vehicle. This section here on the brackets for the UHF, and even on the spring here for the UHF, there are some scratches, and up here, that's where I use the multi grips to try and change it, because I've got the 6.6 in the car. But yeah, these scratches and that, I didn't prime them properly and just quickly threw some flat black over them so they blended in, because I couldn't get the black ones at the time. They didn't have any in stock at Autobahn. So I went the chrome ones, and well, yeah, they look a bit shitty. But they're not a big deal, they can be painted up again later. And I could probably get some black touch-up paint or something just to touch them up. The GME antennas, love them. GME units in general, absolutely love it. They've been brilliant. With the Predator, there are a couple of things I have found with it. And the worst part I find with it is washing it. I've been using that snow foam snowdrop crap. It does loosen the dirt and things like that, but when you start getting sap and other little things like that into it, it's not as easy to clean off as what it would be off gloss paint. It actually gets kind of difficult, to be honest. So that's one downside I have found with the Predator, and trying to clean the roof underneath the roof rack is also quite a lot harder now, because it's textured. You know, it's not flat, smooth, shiny paint. It is textured. So yeah, trying to do the roof and get things like sap stains off it and things like that are quite a bit more difficult. But I get it. Occasionally it might take 2 washes, or I might get the bloody scrub and brush out on the quarter strill to give it a hard scrub. That's the advantage of this stuff though, is you can scrub the living crap out of it with things like that without causing problems. Next thing I added to the front are the Skinz bash plates. Alrighty, so here we go. We've got the Skinz bash plates. Love the bash plates. They've held up really well. I did say in the shakedown video that it looks like I bent one of them and I popped the head off a bolt. I have done that. I haven't actually fixed that bolt, as you can see here. And you can see a big scratch straight down the middle. Pretty sure that was done from across the road from my place, where I've driven into the long grass and everything, didn't realise there was half a branch laying down there, or half a tree laying down there, and it's actually caught up underneath. So I believe that's where that big scratch has come in. And there's a couple more on the bash plates where I've hit rocks and given it a whack and things like that. that's what the bash plates are for. I didn't expect that section to stay perfect. As you can see just here on the bull bar too, there's this, I've hit something there, don't remember what, but I've hit something there, or a big rock's flicked up or something and hit me, and it has taken some paint off there, or some of the Predator, but you can also see that it's actually gouged into the aluminium. But overall, the Predator has held up absolutely amazingly. I'm not worried at all now about pushing through a tight track. Obviously, if I'm allowed to be there, I'll be there. If I'm not, I'm not. But I'm not worried now about pushing through a tighter track, or, you know, copping some scrub up the side of the car and things like that. Predator has been amazing. I love it. I'm hoping to get Predator on the camper trailer. Hoping to renew the deal with Wishart's Paint Solutions. If they can't get the product anymore, I don't know. They did say that they're having some issues with the supplier, so fingers crossed. But yeah, I'm definitely hoping to do the camper trailer in Predator as well, just to keep that paint nice and strong and holding up well. And the Skinz bash plates, they've been great too. They're there to cop a beating and to stop damage to other parts of the vehicle, and that's what they're doing. So I'm very happy with the Skinz bash plates too. I went for Skinz because, one, they were on sale. Two, I love their designs. I don't know what it is about the Skinz, other than simply the little gecko in the middle. I love that gecko. But I don't know, I just like their designs over the other ones. And they kind of feel more like a genuine, honest company than some of the others as well. So yeah, very happy with the Skinz bash plates. Now, let's get inside the car and have a talk about some of the last couple of things. Okay, inside the car, the two main things I did in here were the Grundig head unit and the XRS-390C. I'll talk about the Grundig first, and I'll let you know what I think of that, and then we'll come on to the XRS. So the Grundig head unit, look, it's a relatively cheap head unit. I think they normally retail for about $600. I did get a bit of a deal through Autobarn as part of our partnership deal. They're quite simple. I can go through Bluetooth, normal radio, phone. I've got all different audio adjustment levels in here that are absolute crazy. USB, phone mirroring, or Android Auto. So phone mirroring, for those that don't know, means you can plug your phone in through USB and it will mirror everything that's on your phone. That means you've got your full screen. That means you can watch YouTube and, you know, scroll through your bloody messages and this, that and everything. Not something I really recommend, especially considering most phones these days have a taller screen than what's on here. So it's actually harder to see that than what it is to see your phone. It does allow you legally to do all the other crap though. But just through things like your phone book, especially when using Android Auto, you can get all your contacts and stuff and do everything legally through the head unit. So the mirroring side of things, alright, if you're parked up, you want to watch a YouTube video or something like that, it will sit like that majority of the time. But for things like YouTube and stuff like that, if you tilt your phone to the side, it will then give you the landscape format rather than the portrait format. If you have your phone situated in the portrait format though, it will only show portrait, even with YouTube or whatever open. Your AV in, I haven't really played with that, or your DVR. Apparently I can plug another camera into that and utilise that to record footage of me driving to USB or something. And then obviously all your settings, there's a million different things. One thing I do love with it is your themes. You can actually install your own images and everything as a background. As you can see, standard, I have the On Country with Mick. Basically, it's what I use on my business cards. And then I can also change it to, to that, which is me sitting on the front of the car. So I have the options, for different themes and things like that. So you can install your own photos onto it, which is really nice. I quite like that. Then you've got your clocks, you've got your standard clock, plug in. I normally have Android Auto, so that will show Spotify or whatever playing up there. I'll plug it in quickly and give you a look at all that stuff. Alrighty, so Android Auto, obviously there's my Spotify, so I can go through with my different playlists and things like that. metal, which is the one I'm listening to at the moment, Aussie driving music, music from my teen years. I can bring up my library and see a few different playlists that I've got and whatnot. So yeah, it's kind of cool, and it makes it quite easy. I download all the music onto my phone so that it doesn't matter if I'm off grid and everything that way. So that's Spotify. You can see what sort of bands I like right there. Then across the bottom here, and this is something that really shocked me, you've got a number of different options, but Gaia GPS works with it. And I'm going to do a video about navigation and why I use what. So I can use Gaia GPS with it, which is something I absolutely love being able to do. And the good thing with Gaia GPS is it will load waypoints on there, such as you've got Munmora there and home and different beaches, camp areas, things like that. So this is all stuff that I can record on my phone or on the computer at home, and I can plan trips and all that sort of thing. This little button here will drop a waypoint wherever I am, which I think it just did on me. Nope. So yeah, this little button there will drop a waypoint wherever it is I am. This one here will record tracks. So when I was out with Matt doing the shakedown video, all I had to do was press that button and it would record where we go. And then when I find a new camp spot, I can press this one and save it straight into my menu. And then I can come through, add waypoints, record tracks, search, settings, all that sort of thing. And I can save all my routes. With Gaia GPS, I can also have all my routes and things like that in there. So I use that for my birthday trip and whatnot. It takes me everywhere I need to go. So absolutely love being able to use Gaia GPS. Obviously I've got Google Maps, phone calls, all that sort of stuff. Over here I can press that to get split screen. This comes in handy when I'm doing a trip and I'm filming, because then I can have my music playing, but when I want to start filming or whatever, I can quickly hit the pause button so YouTube doesn't pin me for copyright. But I can still have the maps up and record routes and things like that. Press it again and it will bring up all the different apps that I can use on my phone. So Grundig gives me more support, my calendar, Gaia GPS, maps, 2 different types of messenger, phone. Scanner radio is one that I really like. Spotify, weather, all that sort of stuff. I could throw a lot more in there, but I won't. Scanner radio app, for those that are interested, is an app that I can utilize to listen to the RFS and things like that. So if there's a fire, even if it's a hazard reduction or something, I can utilize that and I can listen to the RFS. It does require mobile signal though. The Grundig unit, really good. Also has a very quick to access mute button there. So if something happens and I need to mute it for some reason, then I can quickly do that if I'm using the UHF and that. Also another button, go straight home. I can press and hold that mute button as well, which will turn it off. Press and hold the home button, gives me voice. Press and hold also gives me the clock. So I can leave it just sitting on that if I really want. The Grundig head unit's been really good. Does get a bit warm. I love having the Android Auto feature in it, and it just makes life so much easier. So the XRS-390C. This is something I absolutely love. Since purchasing this, they've released the BT1, which is a Bluetooth module that can plug into this and go onto the steering wheel. Provides hands-free use. I don't have that. I don't know if it would have come in all that handy for me, but it's not a bad option. The features through the XRS units are absolutely brilliant. As you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of different zones set up. Clubs, councils, shops, emergency, all that sort of thing. The one part that does get me a little bit with that, with the emergency ones, you can program in police and RFS and all that sort of stuff. But when I do, I find I get static. It doesn't seem that it wants to do it today, but quite often I will get things such as the surf lifesaving around here. And they will be just nothing but static, same as with the RFS and that. That I've found out is because they are a digital signal, and the XRS will only pick up analog, which is a bit of a bummer. I can listen in on local councils. I can listen in on a lot of the clubs that for their courtesy buses and things like that. I can listen in on our local shops. I've heard Kmart, I've heard JB Hi-Fi at Lake Haven, quite often hear Coles, different things like that. So yeah, I can listen into a lot of the business ones and things like that just fine, but I can't really get a lot of the RFS stuff, which is a big reason I wanted it. And the unit's hidden down in there. I will just quickly note there is a little organiser in the centre console now. I'll be doing a video on that itself a little bit later on. So the sound quality on the XRS generally is really clear. Obviously the little bit of noise you've heard on here today has been a bit crappy because of simply my location and how far people are from me. They're packed full of features, most of which I don't really use, don't really need, but they're packed full of features, and I absolutely love the radio. It feels really good, really nice to use. Great having the repeat button, one of the programmable buttons. I've set it for the top one here, so if somebody talks to me and I don't quite hear them, I can just press that and it will replay their last message. The only downsides or things that I think GME should look at, and I've said this before, is making their XRS Connect app Android Auto compatible and Apple CarPlay compatible. Because when utilising Android Auto and utilising the mapping, rather than trying to stare at my phone to find out where somebody is, it'd be great to have it there, still playing in the background so that I can have music and all that sort of thing, but I can see where other people are on that unit. Would be a really great option. Otherwise, yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. So the XRS unit, swear by it, love it. I've still got the TX3100 up here. I still haven't rebuilt the roof console. As with the organiser in the centre console here, I am building that, and I do have a part from the same guy that I'll be talking to you guys about at another date. So yeah, absolutely love the GME XRS-390C. Love the Grundig head unit. Works really well. Very proud and happy to have them in the car. Yeah, so I reached out to GME previously to try and organise a supporters or sponsorship sort of deal, and they knocked me back, unfortunately. I'd love to work with GME. I absolutely love their products, and you know, still running the GME TX3100. Great little basic unit, and that's generally on scan when I'm out driving, as it is right there, just so that I can listen into whatever's going on around me. Alright, let's get back out the car and talk about the last little bit. Well guys, that's almost it. I want to give a big shout out to Autobarn at Lakehaven, Ben and the team there. They've been absolutely brilliant to me throughout the last year. Our sponsorship period or supporters period is due to come to an end shortly, so I'm hoping that will get renewed and we'll continue working together for another 12 months or a bit more. Same deal with the guys at Wishart's Paint Solutions for providing the Predator coating. I'm really happy with the product. It's held up really well. It doesn't scratch, guys. It will hold up to a hell of a lot of wear and tear and a lot of crap. And yeah, it's a really great product. And being Australian owned, designed and manufactured, you know, we're always complaining that all manufacturing is sent offshore. So why wouldn't you support it when you can? So yeah, really happy with both Autobarn and Predator. Massive thanks to all of them, or Wishart's. Massive thanks to them for their support. Hopefully I'll have a couple more coming on board. I did mention earlier about Central Coast 4x4 wreckers coming on board to do a little bit of supporting with us as well. So yeah, very happy with all that. Hopefully I'll get a couple more coming on board this next financial year. Alright guys, overall really happy with the car. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, comment. What do you think? You know, has everything held up well in your opinion? Anything that I've done that you'd like to see more of? Alright, Yamma Bujiri Murugu. Walk a good path. Yano, goodbye.